Hey, Wayne back with you, and in this lesson we're going to take a look at how I determined the why. Why in the world am I taking on a project of this size? What's in it for me? Why am I doing it? So let's take a look at why figuring this out is important. So in this module we're going to take a look at why I think it's critical to determine your why before you start any project, particularly one of large scope. And then I'm going to show you an easy method that I use to find the why. It's very simple, very intuitive. It forces you to ask some hard questions, but it definitely works well. And then I'll show you a bonus tip for some additional motivation at the end. So let's take a look. Determining the why. So this is an important step. For me, it is the most important step. So like a lot of people, I am incredibly busy. I have a ton of things pulling at me. I have a wife, I have kids, I have a house that needs maintenance and cars and friends and all kinds of things that are constantly pulling at my time. It's extremely easy for me to get distracted, either on purpose or not, and deviate away from a project. So if I understand exactly why I am doing something and what's in it for me, it definitely helps to keep me on track and focused on those difficult or slow times. So the trick for me for determining the why is simple. You ask the old question, why? So in my case for this site, why do I want to build this site? Well, I want more money. Well, why do I want more money? Well, I want more money so that I can do things with my family. Okay? So why do you want to do things with your family? So if I think about that a little bit, I realize that I value time with my family. So let's ask the question again. Why do I value time with my family? And if I dig really deep, I realize that part of the way that I define my own personal success is in my relationship with my family. That is a core value for me, is my relationship with my family and the way that they perceive me and the way that I treat them. So building this business helps me get in touch with one of my absolute core values of being with my family, giving to my family, taking care of my family. So I could continue to ask the why question on and on and on and on, but I've pretty much gotten to my core value. And I know for me, this is a driver that will keep me going even in tough or boring times. So I would encourage you to continue to ask yourself, well, why, until you can get to some kind of a core value that will motivate you. And be honest with yourself, because a lot of times you're going to, have answers to your why questions that you're not particularly going to like. Well, why do I want more money? Well, hey, I like to buy stuff. Why do I like to buy stuff? Because I like the coolest whatevers, right? That's not always an easy thing to admit to yourself, that you just like stuff or whatever your why happens to be. But be open to the process, think about why that's important to you, and continue asking yourself the why question until you get to a core value. If you do that, it will help you so much with this next step, which is goal setting. Now that I know this project is important to me and fulfills a core value, I have to figure out how to do this project. What in the world am I trying to accomplish? So in the case of this website, I'm trying to build a website that documents my journey from zero to internet success in 90 days. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. Now I need to figure out, how do I get from zero to where I want to go, which is success. And in my why section in the previous slide, I figured out success means more time, more money. Specifically, it means for me generating enough money that I can replace the income I get from my traditional day job. So determine the steps that I need to get there. And then the tool that I use to get all of those goals documented is a free online tool called Workflowy. But as it says here, it doesn't really matter, right? You can use whatever tool you want. You can write on a piece of paper, you can use a scratch pad, you can use any online tool that you want. It's just important to document the steps. So once you've determined the why and you've determined your goals, now you need to determine the how. So in the case of this website, I knew I wanted to create a website. I knew I wanted to use WordPress to do it. And then I found a lesson module that went into WordPress that allowed me to break up my individual posts into lessons. And I liked that format because it gives you, the reader, the ability to check off lessons as you complete them and add lessons to your favorites. So while I'm not specifically trying to teach you something, it is a teaching moment as I go through a step. It's something that you can learn from. So I liked using the learning module. Using that learning module then dictated how I laid out my navigation and how I filled out different posts. So once you've determined your why, then your goals, then you've got to figure out what tools are you going to use to reach those goals. In my case, I wanted to create an online business, which meant a website. So I needed web hosting. I needed software to manage my content. I needed a theme to make it look good. So all of those things started to fall into place, which then gives me a specific set of tools to work within. Then we clearly document the steps. So I literally took Workflowy, which is a blank piece of paper, and said, okay, how do I start from zero and get to the end? And I put in every step that I thought was required. As I add or remove steps, I'll keep that list up to date, but that's the general outline that I'm using to build this website. And then finally, know the limitations of the tools that you chose. So this learning module has some quirky things with it that I had to learn. So I had to figure out the best way to lay out a post, which I'll cover in a future video. So once you've kind of got tools figured out, understand how they work, what they can and can't do, and then determine how you'll use them on a regular basis. So in my case, I went ahead and built a template so that all of my posts look pretty much the same. And the flow is the same, the fonts are the same, the colors are the same, so there's continuity from one to the next. What I also found is that by setting all of that up in advance, adding content became much easier because I didn't have to worry about design. I could just add content. So you can read all of the details at this link right here, but I would encourage you to take some time to figure out, anytime you're starting a new project, understand why you're doing it. That sounds really basic, but understanding that is the key to being successful. I welcome your comments below and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for joining us.